What's up, everyone? Jason Gilbo here at JGilbo11, taking a look at some pitching options for tonight's slate. 14 games. We do have Coors, the second game of Coors on our hand. John Lackey's on the hill. We know what to do there. But as far as other options, I mean, we have a game in Chase Field with two talented pitchers. We'll talk about them. But for the most part, I mean, we got about five or six options that I feel pretty comfortable with using in all formats. But for the most part, I mean, I think we'll be sticking with some top options here. Max Scherzer definitely comes in as one of the better arms on the night. 15.4% swinging strike rate, not giving up any real hard contact. The walk rate's under control. Home runs can be an issue to left-handed bats, but Chris Davis is not a guy that I'm looking for to take Scherzer deep tonight. Neither is Seth Smith. So, for the most part, I mean, Mark Trumbo, Chris Davis, M. Jones, all struggling right now. They're middle of the league against right-handed pitching, 16th in WOBA and ISO, 19th in hard contact. So Baltimore lot doesn't particularly scare me away. The ballpark might give up a friendly homer or two, but Scherzer has that strikeout upside to back things up if he gives up a couple earned runs. So Baltimore lineup, I mean, current one, 31 for 154 against Scherzer with a 36% strikeout rate. He's faced this team a few times over the last few years, 29 strikeouts over 23 innings pitch, 3 starts. He's allowed just 6 earned runs across those 3. Good road favorite here. Baltimore under 4 runs for a total. Definitely don't mind paying up for Scherzer. Next guy, Carlos Carrasco, comes in a little bit cheaper, about $1,000 cheaper. I definitely don't mind him even on the road as well going into the AL East. Minus 165 favorite there. Toronto's offense definitely not threatening at all. 27th in WOBA against right-handed pitching, 23% strikeout rate. Power's also bottom 10 with a 146 ISO. You look at Carrasco, I mean, been very solid this year. I mean, missing bats, 11.4% rate, 27% hard contact rate. He does have the 6th highest strikeout rate on the slate, does limit walks as well. A lot to like about him. Ballpark is playing a little bit more neutral these days. It's not as enhanced with a lot of big boppers there that was in Toronto over the last few years, but this offense just not particularly thrilling right now. Carrasco doesn't give up a lot of home runs. Reasonably priced. So if you need the extra 1,000 for someone, I definitely don't mind Carrasco as well. Kind of jumping through the list here. I mean, we'll get to Robby Ray, Verlander, but going with kind of the guys that I'm on. Andrews is a guy I'll take a look at for the Rays. Definitely has not been bad. The hard contact is a little bit of a concern, up at around 40%. But good pitcher's park against a bottom 5 offense. I think there's a lot to like here. Also a good favorite, minus 157 at home. 3.5 run total, reasonably priced. So if you do want to fit those Coors bats in, I'm okay with it. Just a GPP option for me on FanDuel, most likely, unless I really like the bats around him. I think he's a good SP2 on DraftKings. Looking at Kansas City this year, 28th in WOBA against right-handed pitching, just a 135 ISO. The walk rate's down from the previous year. Strikeout rate's up more around the league average. Andrews can miss some bats, which is nice to see. Double-digit swinging strike rate for him, 20% strikeout rate, which is certainly respectable. He comes in tonight. I think he kind of fits the bill. If this was a different slate with maybe no Coors, no other top offenses like Washington against Jimenez, maybe we look somewhere else, but I do think he's a decent option on this slate. Jeff Samardzija is the guy I want to talk about for GPPs. Has blown up in 2 parks here, Coors and Chase Field, giving up 10 earned runs combined there, which is why the ERA has been over 5. Looked awesome against the Dodgers. There was a lot to like against that left-handed heavy lineup, which gives me a little bit more confidence rolling in him today. Inducing a lot of weak contact, soft percentage there at 27.5%, walk rate 6.2%, strikeout rate 28.6%. I mean, he's been very solid in terms of being outside those 2 tough stadiums, 11.5% swinging strike rate, Citi Field, neutral park to a slightly good pitcher's park, depending on the time of the year. But Mets lineup heavily left-handed. I still think that's going to keep Samardzija's ownership down. I still think the price tag's a little bit higher than what people want to pay for him on this slate. But you look at this Mets roster, 24% strikeout rate against Samardzija, 21 for 105. They're bottom 10 against right-handed pitching in WOBA and WRC+. I mean, really, outside of Michael Conforto, Jay Bruce, I'm not particularly worried about most of these bats. He's been very tough on right-handers, so if you get guys like TJ Rivera, whoever catchers behind the dish, guys like that, I'm not particularly worried. So I think Samardzija is an intriguing tournament option. You're definitely going to get him at sub 10, 15% on both sites. And worthy of a look tonight at a price tag that's can still allow you to get, one or two bats in there from Coors or Washington without completely killing the rest of your lineup. So Charlie Morton's another guy. Probably going to find some love tonight, but Atlanta's certainly not a pushover offense. I mean, 15th in WOBA against right-handers, striking out below 20%. Hard contact's pretty average as well. Morton giving up some hard contact when it's being hit. But everything else, I mean, very solid. So I don't mind the hard contact as much as maybe some others do, just because it's at a 49% ground ball rate, 26% strikeout rate, touching, above 95 on the fastball, and tossing it deep into games, 10.5% swinging strike rate. So Morton been somewhat unlucky, 344 BABIP this year. Sierra is very solid, sixth best on the slate. I think he's a worthy look in all formats in DraftKings and Yahoo 2 pitcher sites. FanDuel, I'm going to probably resort to just being a GPP play, but once again, kind of like Andres, if you want to fit the bats in cash games, I'm certainly okay there. It's just more of a weather thing with Coors at this point, like we saw last night. So those are kind of the core five guys I'll be looking at, but I definitely do want to talk about Robby Ray, Justin Verlander. I mean, Ray, 32% strikeout rate this year, 13% swinging strike percentage, giving up a ton of hard contacts, 50% hard contact rate this year is a little bit wild. But when you look at this Tigers offense, against lefties, hitting the ball very hard, 38% contact rate, but they are striking out a ton, 23% strikeout rate. I don't mind Ray in a GPP for building multiple lineups. I think, people are going to be scared off. I think the upside is still there. As far as Verlander goes, strikeout rate hasn't been on par with what I want to see. He's walking a lot of guys, 11% walk rate. He's not missing a ton of bats, 7.6%. Hard contacts there as well. Home runs, fairly average. So I think Verlander's kind of the odd man out. I'd rather take a shot with Ray at home, but it's definitely kind of high risk, high reward. But he is definitely another name that I would take a look at. So let's wrap things up here. You can head on over to DaveFantasyCafe.com for our great tools and content.